in Queens and learning on a high level I never knew how to learn on, and talking about things I never talked about, and a whole world that I didn't know existed. And I remember looking back at myself thinking, sitting in the shul in flip-flops thinking I was the most religious guy in the world. And I didn't even know where I ended up. I didn't know where I was. And I had this problem, and I was thinking of mamash, how to fix it. Eventually I want to go to Eretz Yisrael. Eventually I want to be able to do all those things normal people do. And I started realizing that this is my situation. This is what Hashem wants for me. I can't run away from my life. How is being upset and sad and having resentment? And I yelled at that person for the 20th time, and I yelled at that person for the 50th time, and saying it's not my fault, and nothing changed. And I was going, since I realized what my problem was, 4 years like that. Nothing changed. Doing the same acts of getting upset and depressed and sad and thinking there's no open doors. It didn't change anything. It didn't get me any farther in life. And the day came where, Baruch Hashem gave me the zechut. I found my zivug. I got married. I got thrown into this whole world of the Bukharians and the Queens. And I gained maybe 8 pounds in one Pesach.
That's true.
Less than 10 is a miracle.
Moroccans don't eat rice on Pesach. It was the first Pesach I ate rice. And my world started opening up. I started seeing more light. And I was trying to, they always hear about these rabbis talking about positive thinking and positive feelings and believing that there is hope and believing that there is change. And I remember I didn't know who Rav Shalom Arush was. And I one time heard a story of a person who didn't have kids for a long time. And she went to the Rav Arush and she said to him her problem. And he told her, I'm only going to give you advice if you're going to keep it. That's the only way I'll give you advice. She said, okay, Rav, I'll do it. She says, no. He said, no, you have to promise to keep the advice. She said, mamash, I'm going to keep the advice. He said, you have to say thank you every day for half an hour that you don't have kids. You have to tell Hashem, thank you so much that I don't have kids. She said, Rav, that doesn't make sense. What does that mean? I want to have kids. Why say thank you I don't have kids? He says, you have to do it. I told you have to keep the advice if I give it to you. And she did it every day. And 9 months later, Rav Arush was a sandak.
Wow.
So I heard this story. I didn't know who Rav Arush was. I didn't know what all this meant. And I started doing that. Eventually, I met Rabbi Kalmus. Rabbi Kalmus and I, it was like those situations where you knew the person before you knew the person. You were somebody I know from somewhere, but I can't say what it is. And we were looking for the truth. We were really looking for the truth. And we knew there was something lacking. We knew there was something we needed to all reach out for. And we connected on this point. And I said to him, if we learn together as a chavruta, even though we have different backgrounds and different skills. Thank God I had a very long yeshiva background, and Rabbi Kalmus is coming from a very different background. But the point is, we wanted the truth. I never learned with anybody in my entire life that wanted to learn as badly as Rabbi Kalmus. In my entire life, I never thought I could meet a person who wanted the truth as badly as I wanted it. And we learned, and he said, but listen, if before we learn every day, we have to learn the Kutei Moharan a little bit. We have to learn Rabbi Nachman's teachings a little bit. And I said, okay, I didn't know what that meant. I didn't know what Rabbi Nachman's teachings were. And we started learning, and I started realizing that, hey, listen, this is what I need. This is what helps me. This is what works. I actually have been doing some of this, and I didn't realize this is what I was doing. This is how I cope every day. This is what gets me through my day. This is what gets me to do another mitzvah. This is what gets me to be the full version of myself. And I became the rabbi in Young Israel Forest Hills, thank God. and I started having to walk from Main Street to Forest Hills every Friday and every Saturday. And I thank God I had an opportunity. I read in Sichar Aran that Rabbi Nachman actually used to do it bodedut while he was walking. When he would walk is when he would do his bodedut. So that's what I did. I wanted Mekayim, I want to keep Rabbi Nachman's teachings, so I started doing bodedut. And I made it a big deal to say thank you for my problem. The people who were helping me with my problem, they told me, you have a big appointment about your problem. And you need to do this. This is your opportunity. I had to get a lawyer. I had to get other professionals to help me with this problem. And they told me, Tomer, I'm sorry to tell you, there's no way to fix your problem. There's no way. There's no way around it. I said, but listen, we have this appointment. I have to go to it. I have to go with my paperwork. I have to go with my story. I have to go with whatever I have. I have to fix it somehow. Okay, it's in a couple months from now. We'll see what happens by then. But we're telling you, this is what we're going with. You have to pray. They don't ask you certain questions. You have to pray that everything works out, because on paper it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. So I prayed, and I would do the bodedut, and I would say thank you Hashem, and thank you Hashem. And in the beginning I didn't understand why I'm saying thank you, but I heard that Rabbi Rush story, I read Rabbi Nachman's teachings. And you have to say thank you, you have to realize everything's for the best. But I didn't internalize it, I didn't know what it meant. So I did it, and I did it, and I did it. We say in the Shema, Vayu advarim ha'eleh, Asher nochim etzevecha hayom al levavecha. We say these words I command you today, you should put them on your heart. Why on your heart? It should be in your heart. On your heart means that even though your heart doesn't understand it, and your heart is cold as a rock, put stuff on top. Put one halacha on top, put another musar on top, put another dvar Torah on top, put another sichar aran on top, put another bodedut on top, put another lesson you learned on top. And one day, all the stacked up Torah, all the stacked up prayers, all the stacked up holiness, it crashes inside your heart. It goes all the way inside. The pressure can't handle it anymore. Being on top of your heart, it just goes inside your heart. And you level up spiritually. You jump like 50 levels in one shot. You don't know how that happened. And that's what happened to me. One day I'm walking from my bodedut. I'm walking in the middle of my bodedut, and I stopped. I stop in the middle of the sidewalk and I say, listen, I didn't go to Israel because of my problem, but I went to Queens and I met my wife. I didn't go to Israel with my friends, but I have a friend who got into a fight with an Israeli and stabbed him in the eye and is still in jail. I didn't go to Israel, and who knows what I would have done there. I didn't go to Northwestern and become a doctor in an Ivy League school. But who says I want to be a doctor after seeing everything we saw recently? Who said that's the right thing, that what Hashem wanted for me? I'm learning Torah, and I'm being in a kollel, and I'm helping my buddies and my friends and my community, and I'm raising the Torah awareness, and I'm trying to connect to Rabbeinu's teachings, and I'm building my Olam Haba, my friends' Olam Haba, my family's Olam Haba, my community's Olam Haba. I'm becoming a spiritual doctor instead of being just a physical one. So I'm saying thank you to Hashem for all those things. And I didn't realize, and my eyesight was very limited. I didn't see far ahead. And I realized, I actually started believing, I started feeling in my heart, Hashem really does everything for the best. We don't realize. It takes time to realize. It hurts along the way. You don't understand. And there's been nights where I had to cry myself to sleep, and there's been nights where I didn't know what's going to be tomorrow. And there's been nights where I said, Hashem, I mamash don't know what to do. But all I know what to do is to turn to you and to pray to you, because you have all the ability and I don't. So I went to my appointment. I didn't know what I was going to say. But I prayed, I did a bodedut. I learned to Kutamaran that day. I did other mitzvot. I walked in. I don't know these people. They don't know me. They asked me questions. I gave them answers. I walked out. I called my lawyer. I called the professionals who were with me. They said, it's a miracle. It's an open miracle. You had this huge problem, and they were supposed to ask you about this problem. It was right there. You can't miss it. And they avoided the question, they overlooked it, They gave me what I needed. And the problem I had for over 20 years of my life was gone like this. It was gone like that. I'm crying because it took a very long time for me to be able to accept it. But you should know, when I accepted it, and I realized from Hashem it's all for the best, that's when I got my salvation. That's when I saw the Yeshua. That's when I felt that things were getting better. It's not easy. I was exactly like this many, many times. But I realized it doesn't help. What do you get from it? Being sad. What do you get from it? So I took all my emotions, all my anger, all my suicidal thoughts, thinking that I'm never going to get anywhere with this. And we don't understand Hashem is mamash able to do anything for us. Everything. He's not limited. We are limited. We don't think He could do for us. You think, little old me, why would He do it for me? Who am I? What do I deserve? I'm some guy somewhere in Queens doesn't know anything from anything. Why would Hashem do anything for me? But you're a son. And when a son says, Abba, I want to come home. I want to be close to you. I want to be able to do mitzvot. I want to go to the Holy Land. I want to be able to come close to you. Which Abba says no? Which Abba says no? We're going to say now in Rosh Hashanah, Avinu Malkeinu. He's a king, he's scary, he's going to judge us, he's going to give us decrees. But he's our Avinu, he's our Abba. When you come home a long day and you know you're going to see your Abba, he's going to do everything for you, he's going to help you, he's going to save you. Be'esh u'b'mayim, in the fire and the water. And amemash, I was in the fire, I was in the water. I just want to end off with, it was very hard for me to say this. And I want to tell you that so many people in our lives have problems like these and we don't know. So many people in our lives go through so much and they don't say it. And you think you're the only one who has it hard and you're the only one who has this problem. And it's not true. And we all do. And this is what makes me so connected to all the guys here and to all the people who are connected to these teachings, because it's very real, it's very open, it's very, life is what it is, we know. And we want all to help each other get over it. We want to help each other, give the right advice, connect to the right person, and be able to get that salvation we need. So now we're here. I'm still dealing with this problem till this day, but I don't resent it. I go mamash back to those people and I speak to them as if nothing happened, and I give them chizuk and I love them and I help them, because I know, and I started realizing it's not them. They're messengers of Hashem. This is what Hashem wanted. Hashem could have done it a different way. But I realized Hashem gave me the greatest gift, and I really have to say thank you. I would find Rabbeinu if it wasn't for this problem. I would be able to chase everything I chase today in a good way if it wasn't for this problem. Who knows where I would have been today? Who knows? And I really, mamash, it's the biggest gift. You know what the biggest gift from this whole problem was? I want to say it like how Rabbi Kalmus says it. Emunah. Emunah. Emunah.
Emunah. Emunah. Emunah. Emunah. Emunah. Emunah. Emunah. Emunah.
Emunah.
תראה רק את הרע, תשמח, תראה את הטוב. בכל אדם יש דבר נסתר, חפש ומצא את הטוב. תשמח, אל תראה רק את הרע, תשמח, תראה את הטוב. בכל אדם יש דבר נסתר, חפש ומצא את הטוב. תשמח, יש תקווה ידידי, תראה סימנים בדרך. תשמח, כי לכל יהודי יש חלק לעולם הבא. תשמח, יש תקווה ידידי, תראה סימנים בדרך. תשמח, כי לכל יהודי יש חלק לעולם הבא. תשמח, אל תראה את הרע, תשמח, תראה את הטוב. בכל אדם יש דבר נסתר, חפש ומצא את הטוב. תשמח, אל תראה רק את הרע, תשמח, תראה את הטוב. בכל אדם יש דבר נסתר, חפש ומצא את הטוב. תשמח, יש תקווה ידידי, תראה סימנים בדרך. תשמח, כי לכל יהודי יש חלק לעולם הבא. תשמח, יש תקווה ידידי, תראה סימנים בדרך. תשמח, כי לכל יהודי יש חלק לעולם הבא. Give him a lap tap now. בכל אדם יש דבר נסתר, חפש ומצא את הטוב. תשמח, אל תראה את הרע. Don't look at the bad, smile, look at the good. In everyone there is something good to look for. Just feel it, it's טוב. תשמח, יש תקווה ידידי, תראה סימנים בדרך. תשמח, כי לכל יהודי יש חלק לעולם הבא. נה 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 טוב להודות לשם, טוב להודות לשם, טוב להודות לשם, טוב להודות לשם, להגיד בבוקר באמונתך בלילות, להגיד בבוקר הזה באמונתך בלילות. להודות לשם, טוב להודות לשם, להלל לשמך היום. טוב להודות לשם, טוב להודות לשם, ולזמר לשמך היום. להגיד בבוקר הזה באמונתך בלילות, להגיד בבוקר הזה באמונתך בלילות. la 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 la
I need to say something right now. I want everybody to listen very carefully, okay?
Always listen very carefully.
You see that Rav Tomer here wanted to become a doctor. I promise you that with his experience in his life and what he just told us here, he healed thousands of more people than he ever would if he would have been a medical doctor. And this is the way of Hashem. That Hashem knows your innermost will. He knows what you want more than anything. And He wants to bring you there. It's just that when we think about it in a very linear way. I'm going to go to school, I'm going to go do this, I'm going to achieve this, I'm going to go do that. But we think so small. Who says that's how you're going to do it? Who says that's the greatest way to achieve your dreams? There's no limits to Hashem. And without Emunah, that ride is very, very scary. And it's very, very painful. And Rav Tomer knows it, and I know it, and we all know it. And I just want to say something personal as well before Rosh Hashanah. And just to drive the point home that Rav Tomer just blew the door open on the unfathomable ways of Hashem. There are three main shofar blasts. There is a tekiah, there's shvarim, and there's trua. The first one is like a long, consistent sound. And the second one, shvarim, it comes from the word to break. It's broken sounds. And then you have trua, which are short, I think they call them staccato sounds. Yeah, that's right. So Rav Kook, who actually was a very big Talmud of Rabbi Nachman. In fact, if you look at Rabbi Nachman's picture online, you're going to see Rav Kook. So a lot of people think Rav Kook is Rabbi Nachman. It's not Rabbi Nachman. Okay. Although I did hear a rumor, I don't know if it's true, that he said that he was a Gilgul of Rabbi Nachman. I don't know if that's true. But,
That was fired up.
yeah, but just to hear something like that is pretty cool. So Rav Kook says, what are these sounds corresponding to? The first sound is the sound of infinite light, of infinite good. It's just open, good, pure, infinite love, light, and this is the source of all of our souls. And in order for a Jew to return back to Hashem, to return back to his real self, he needs to first hear that sound. This is the sound that a Jew hears. That's the first shofar blast. That's the blast that's going to awaken every Jew to come back to Hashem, to hear their source, which is entirely good. But then there's a twist. You think it should get better from there. but it goes into broken sounds. It goes into brokenness from there. That once you taste Hashem in your life, and you really decide, I want to go pursue it with everything I have, like Rabbi Nachman says, you're often confronted with the greatest breaking in your life. And it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make any sense. Why should I break now? Hashem just showed me infinite good. That's why I woke up. And that's why I want to pursue this. And now I'm literally giving everything I have to this. And I've never experienced more shvarim, more breaking, than after I looked for the truth. And ultimately you have Charua. Which is in a way even more beautiful than the first sound. Because it's after the breaking. And Rabbi Nachman says, what's the concept of Charua? It comes from the word Roy, a shepherd. How many of us want to help people in our life? How many of us are dying to make an impact in the world, dying to make an impact, a good impact on your friends, on your family, to be a Roy, to be a shepherd? But to the degree that you want to be a shepherd, that you're destined to be a shepherd, to that degree you have to go through tremendous shvarim, through tremendous breaking. I want to tell you personally that even though I've suffered from depressive episode after depressive episode, there's no count, I can't count it on my hands or my toes. And you think all of a sudden you realize Hashem exists and now everything's going to be amazing now. Rabbi Nachman, he says everything he does is for the best, everything is good. Oh my gosh, my life is going to be amazing now. I just realized everything is from Hashem, everything is good. And what happened after that? I went into the deepest breaking of my life. An unfathomable breaking. A breaking that when I try to speak about it in my Hibodadut, I can't because the trauma is so intense. I try to go back there anyway, but it's just so hard. And I want to tell you something incredible. This I've spoken about in the past, but I want to unfold a new layer of the onion before we go into Rosh Hashanah. For a person who depression medications do not work, and therapy does not work, and no other recourse can be found, and you become suicidal in nature because of the darkness of your life, and it's not getting any better, and it's just seemingly getting worse and worse and worse, they have a last resort. It's called ECT. It's called electroconvulsive therapy. Where they place pieces of a machine onto your brain, and then they put you to sleep, and then they shock you. You've probably seen it in Someone Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, or some horror movie. And I did that. And there's supposed to be an 80% success rate.
What is this for again?
This is for depression.
Maybe I should try it. Come on, shut it.
And it didn't help me. And it didn't help me. It didn't help me. And I couldn't believe it. How can I be part of the 2% of people that this doesn't help? What's wrong with me? How can the last resort that people have come to and it helped them, how can this not help me? What am I going to do? And not only that, what's the reason it's a last resort? It's not because of the shocking, which sounds very scary, but you don't feel it when it's happening. It's because you end up losing years of memory. And I lost years of memory. And I see people that come up to me in the street and they say, David, thank you so much, you changed my life. What you taught me in the past few years. I didn't know who they were. I want to tell you something amazing. That when I was in the clinic, I would bring my Likutei Moharan with me. I'd bring my Tehillim with me. And I was constantly learning. Everybody who knows me knows there's always a book in my hand and I don't let it go. And it's my life force, and I live with it everywhere I go. And they ask me, "Or do you work here?" I say, "No, I don't work here. I'm about to get shocked right now." But why? I have my suit on, and I have my Likutei Moharan. I look like a very official whatever, and everybody is. And I'm just reading my Likutei Moharan everywhere I go, learning Torah, whatever I can get my hands on. And I want to tell you something that's going to blow your mind. I lost years worth of memory. That my wife tells me things from the past few years. I say, "I'm so sorry, honey. I want to tell you I remember. I really don't remember." I remember every piece of Torah that I learned. I didn't lose one letter of Torah. I forgot everything else from the past few years. I did not forget one piece of Torah. How is that possible? How does that make any sense?
You flushed your brain.
Because Torah is above your brain. Because godliness is above physicality. And this is never going to make sense to a doctor, and they would never believe such a thing. But I want to tell you the godlut of going through such darkness is to realize that godliness cannot be destroyed. That no matter what the darkness of your life is, you have a part of your soul, you have a nefesh elokit, and it cannot be touched, no matter what. Not by abuse, not by trauma, not by electric shock therapy, not by screaming, not by yelling, not by punching, not by kicking, not by rape, not by nothing. There is a part of everybody's soul that is a piece of God, and you cannot touch that piece. And you can, mamish, go to a point in your life that the rest of your life is taken from you, but you will not lose that piece. And what ended up happening as a result? Trua. The thing that I dreamed my whole life, to be a shepherd, that when I'm in high school watching videos of Martin Luther King, watching videos of different leaders of men, Mahatma Gandhi, I don't know how to say his name, different leaders that they showed in videos in history classes, whereas the rest of the classes I'm looking outside the window the whole time, daydreaming. When I saw leaders of men who were cultivating something good in the world, my eyes became locked, my heart became on fire. My whole life I've wanted